It's time to fire this thing up.
Welcome aboard ShipShape TV Essentials. This is your port of call for the most impactful upgrades, expert advice, and hands-on solutions from seasons past. This episode is proudly brought to you by SureHold, because anything worth doing is worth doing bright. From cleaning to protecting and perfecting, SureHold has everything you need to keep your boat shining. Don't just go boating, go showboating. Now, let's hoist anchor and set a course for another exciting episode of ShipShape TV Essentials.
If boating your game, then you agree. ShipShape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ShipShape means trouble-free. ShipShape means being neater. ShipShape makes boat work easier. ShipShape is the way to go. The ShipShape Boat Care Show.
It's good to have you working around the boat with us on ShipShape TV. I'm John Greviskis, and in the next half hour, we're going to bring a small portion of the marine industry into your living room. On today's show, Nick and I are going to show you how simple it is to replace the head gasket on an outboard engine. We'll also rebuild a Poppet valve and thermostat, as well as show you a hot new boat that's on the water. Get ready. It's time to get your boat ShipShape.
ShipShape, America's favorite boat improvement show, is being brought to you in part by the most complete new and used boat sales, service, and brokerage facilities, Great American Marine, and by Thomas Marine Marketing, the best place on the West Coast to buy or sell your used boat, and by West Florida's newest Robalo dealer, Kenyon Powerboats, where Florida boaters shop and save. We now return to ShipShape TV.
Welcome back to the show. Today we're going to be pulling the cylinder head off of our outboard engine and switching out the head gasket. Now, I know that this sounds like a lot of work, but trust me, it's really pretty simple. If you're a saltwater boater, you'll want to do this procedure about every 2 to 3 years, and if you boat in freshwater, you'll want to do it about every 5. Nick, how many cylinder heads have you pulled off of engines?
Wow. Pulled my first one probably when I was about 10, John. My mom still talks about that one around the dinner table from time to time. I think I've lost count.
Well, get us started.
Okay. These bolts here around the outside of the cylinder are the head bolts. They hold the head to the cylinder block or power head. Once they're removed, we'll go inside and visually inspect the cylinders.
What we're looking for is any scoring or scratches on the cylinder walls. We'll also be inspecting the tops of the pistons for proper burn, and we'll look at the water passages for any corrosion or salt buildup. And we're going to review our findings right after we check out this new boat. Let's have a look. This week on What's Hot on the Water, we're going to take a look at a really neat high-performance boat. We're going to look at the 22ZX Donzee, and with us today is Randy Inch, the General Sales Manager out here at Great American Marine, to tell us a little bit about the boat.
Well, the Donzee 22ZX is 22 foot 3 inches overall length, 7 foot 9 inch beam, 22-degree dead rise on the transom, which is going to give you a real smooth ride. The boat behind us is packed with a 454 mag, which is 350 horsepower, which moves the boat around 70 miles an hour.
Now, you've got different power options available for the boat.
Correct.
How much power can you put in?
Well, you start off with the 350 mag MPI, which is the Corvette engine, 300 horse, and you can go all the way up to the 500 Chief engine, which is the engine that Donzee puts in their race boat. Not that you're needed, but you can run from the 454 mag to the 454 mag MPI to the 502 EFI and a little bit higher than that.
Well, when you hear the word Donzee, I mean, you put it with the ZX series. Now, there are quite a few models.
Correct. We build the 22 that you see behind us. Donzee builds a 25. They also build a 27. And then we get into more of their performance cruisers, which is a 33ZX and a 38ZX, which are obviously a little bit larger, more cabin headroom, and a heck of a lot more power.
Randy, in this particular boat, why would somebody consider getting this?
Well, the 22 is a good ski boat, a good all-around runabout boat, but what people like with the Performance Series boats in general is the big deep V, the ride that you get, and of course the horsepower that you have.
Now this is a 22-degree deep V boat. Now can you tell people why that's significant?
Well, we've all been on a flat bottom boat out in the water where it kind of beat us up a little bit. The deeper the V, the smoother the ride. You also got to consider the deeper the V, the more horsepower it takes to move the boat through the water. In the offshore series, regardless of what boat you're actually looking at, most of those guys will run from a 21 to a 24-degree V because it gives you the best ride for the size boat that you're in.
Well, you know, Randy, you guys really know the product. You really know Donzee, and I believe that that's what's attributed for you guys being the #1 Donzee dealer in the world again for the 3rd time.
Right.
Now you're working on it this year as well. You think you're going to go 4 years in a row. No other company has gone 3 years in a row being the #1 Donzee dealer in the world. What else do you attribute it to?
Well, a lot of what we have is not only the sale, but the service after the fact. We have an entire staff of people in this marina who are dedicated towards the experts that they're in. We have mechanics, we have riggers, we have people who haul boats, and that's all they do for us. On the large yacht side, we've got cabinet makers, we have carpenters, we have diesel mechanics. We spend an awful lot of money every year making sure that these people are factory trained for the products that they're going to work on.
You guys don't stop at the sale. I mean, a lot of companies do. They say, hey, you've hooked the boat up, you're taking it home, end of the deal.
Right.
That's where your relationship just starts with your customers.
A lot of problems with the dealerships out there is that's exactly it. You walk away from them and you've got your boat, they have your money, and they don't want to see you again.
Sure.
We want you to come back in. We've got a big full-service marina. We've got a lot of expert people, and we want them to come back in so we can service you down the road and hopefully upgrade you and keep you in the family.
Randy, give me a price on the 22.
This 22, the way she's rigged with the equipment list on board, is in the low 40 catalog price.
How do we get here to see it?
Here in St. Pete, we're located in the Pasadena area. We're 6810 Gulfport Boulevard. We also have a Sarasota Marina, which is on Tamiami Trail, about a mile south of the airport.
If you want to get a lot of looks, you might want to consider the Donzee 22ZX. Talk with Randy Inch. You'll be glad you did.
Holy mackerel, John. Get my checkbook out. Where do I sign?
Did you like that one?
I loved it. You know, and that's what boating's all about, family togetherness.
Not only riding on the boats, but actually working around the boat as a family. Okay, we're back at the workbench. Nick, we left off with you taking our cylinder head off. What were your findings?
Actually, it was pretty good, John. As you can see, there's no scoring or scraping on the cylinder walls, and there's not a lot of heavy salt buildup. We're in good shape.
Now, what would cause your cylinder walls to have some scoring or scratches in them?
Well, there's basically 2 main causes for power head failure. The first would be an overheat, probably the most common, and the second would be lack of lubrication. Say, for example, your oil pump stops working. Boom, instant damage. You've got pistons flying around inside these cylinders anywhere between 5,000 and 6,000 RPMs, and at those types of RPMs, it doesn't take long to cause damage.
Sure.
Let me show you an example of what I mean. This is a 200 horsepower Johnson which suffered a severe overheat. What we have here is scoring on the cylinders because the piston expands and scrapes against the cylinder sides.
Okay.
And we've got a lot of damage. Now, the ironic thing is, this motor didn't overheat because of the water pump.
It overheated because of the poppet valves and thermostats failing. We're going to show you how to prevent that from ever happening in your engine right after we take this short break. Nick, can you hand me that gasket scraper?
Sure.
ShipShape TV will be right back. Tracy Dell of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida asks, what happens if my boat or one of the products aboard her are defectively manufactured or designed? Answer coming up from maritime attorney Gail Hawks right after this break.
Hi, I'm Barry Burhoff with Surehold Industries. Look at this guy and all the stuff he needs to maintain his boat. I guarantee you he'll be tripping on that all day long. Forget that nonsense. Use the Surehold family of products featuring the one handle that does it all. Surehold has over 40 different quality attachments that easily locks into place. Deck brushes, mops, squeegees, scrubbers, paddles, boat hooks, and even a camera adapter. Whether it's for your car, truck, RV, or boat, keep it clean and simple with Surehold products.
Here is today's maritime law question. What happens if my boat or one of the products aboard her are defectively manufactured or designed?
Product liability cases are becoming more and more prevalent. You can have a case in which the product itself doesn't live up to its advertised expectations, such as the speed of the boat or the fuel consumption of the engine. You can also have product liability cases in which people are injured. Those cases rest on such causes of action as strict liability or failure to warn of a dangerous propensity or dangerous product.
If you have a question for maritime attorney Gail Hawks, leave it with the ShipShape TV memo board on the World Wide Web. www.spectacular.com/ShipShape-TV. This interactive website has all kinds of marine information, great articles, special offers, and free stuff like ShipShape t-shirts and coolie cups if we answer your questions on the air. Type into www.spectacular.com/ShipShape-TV today.
The Florida Mariner, bringing boat buyers and boat sellers together. Statewide distribution for one low price. Photo ads of your boat for only $27.95 for not just one, but two big issues. Pick up your free copy at Boat US, Boaters World, E&B Marine, West Marine, plus hundreds of marinas and other high-traffic marine locations. Thousands of boats are for sale in the Florida Mariner, bringing boat buyers and boat sellers together.
And now back to the project.
Welcome back to the show. We've been showing you how to replace the head gasket and maintain a cooling system on an outboard engine today on ShipShape TV. Nick, can you tell us what a poppet valve is?
Sure. A poppet valve is a rubber diaphragm that opens and closes with water pressure. Now, depending on the engine manufacturer, they're located in different areas. On your larger Mercuries, they're mounted here underneath the power pack. On most of your larger V4 and V6 Johnson & Evinrudes, they're mounted here on top of the cylinder head.
The poppet valve runs about $3 and should be replaced every year. Another cause for your engine to overheat might be the thermostat. It could freeze up on you. Let's take a closer look at how the thermostat actually works and why it might fail. A thermostat is a device that opens and closes due to temperature. On an outboard engine, you've got a temperature range of 140 to 170 degrees before that thermostat's going to open. Now, I've set up a little demonstration site here, including a Pyrex dish, some water, a thermometer, our thermostat, and a propane torch. As I lower the thermostat into the water and I heat it with our propane torch, we're going to start approaching that 140 to 170 degree range. As the water heats up, you'll notice that the thermostat starts to slowly open. When we remove the thermostat from the water and it drops below that mark, it will again close. Now, what the thermostat's for is when it's closed, it will allow water in your block to heat up. When it opens, it allows new water in to cool your cylinders. Now, how it might fail is you might have some corrosion, or you might have some foreign matter that gets in there. If it does fail on you, you're going to experience overheating and possibly score your cylinder walls like we saw earlier. And that's how the thermostat works and why it might fail.
Great demonstration, John. You know, along with regular thermostat maintenance and overhaul, it's also a great idea to annually change the poppet valve.
Nick, can you tell us what a poppet valve is actually for?
Sure. The poppet valve is a way for the engine manufacturer to control the variable water pressure. As the engine increases in RPM, the water pump develops more pressure. We need to get rid of the excess water and reroute it through the block. Now, since the poppet valve lives directly in the water passages, it has a real hard life. Let's go ahead and change this one out. Once you remove the mounting screws, you can pull out the poppet valve. The poppet valve is held in with a single Phillips head screw in the center. We want to take it out so we can change the diaphragm. Now you can see by the looks of this one that it needs replacing. We want to take our new valve, screw it in place, but before we do, we want to clean out any excess salt buildup in the sealing area. Once it's all together, make sure that you use a new gasket, and you can go ahead and reinstall that poppet valve. Now when we get back, I'm going to show you the proper way to torque your cylinder heads. Stay around.
Here's what's coming up next on ShipShape TV.
The ultimate 3-in-1 boat hook from Surehold. Engineered to serve multiple purposes, this versatile 3-in-1 tool can be used as a traditional boat hook for docking and securing your vessel, for carrying a dock line to a pillar or cleat, for safely pushing off a dock space, and more. Compatible with all Surehold handles using the SureLock system, the Surehold boat hook is an essential tool for any successful boating adventure. Surehold. Clean and simple.
If you have a marine-related business, put your advertising message right here in front of over 5 million homes in Florida. For advertising rate information, call area code 561-626-1439. That's area code 561-626-1439. We now return to ShipShape.
We're back at our workbench, and we left off before the break with Nick putting in a new poppet valve. Now, Nick, what's the next thing we're going to do?
John, why don't we take a look at this Johnson cylinder head and show our viewers how to change a thermostat.
Sounds great.
Most thermostats are mounted on top of the cylinder head because this is the hottest spot of the engine.
Now, Nick, there's no thermostat in here at all. What's going on?
That's right, John, and this is a common mistake made by a lot of outboard owners. Guys, it's not a good idea to take and remove or gut your thermostat. The thermostat's there to keep the motor running at its optimum temperature. When you remove it, the water will flow through the motor so fast that you'll lose some of your cooling properties. Not a great idea. When installing your new thermostat, make sure you use the factory rubber grommet, set it in place, use a new gasket, and put it back together. That just about wraps up this part of our preventive maintenance.
Now we're going to show you how to replace the deflectors. A deflector acts as a dam around your cylinder head. It will channel the water to cool your cylinders, and they need to be replaced occasionally. Use some needle nose pliers, get a good grab on it, and pull it out. You'll want to take your new deflector and spray it with some lubricating grease, either some WD-40 or some CRC. Lube it up and then put it back into place.
Great tip, John. Looks like we're ready to install our cylinder head. Can you give me a hand?
Sure. Let me get this out of your way.
Ready?
Can you hand me that gasket scraper?
Sure.
Also known as a putty knife, I like to use this as a gasket scraper in case there's any residue or any salt around your head. You want to scrape your surface and make sure that you don't leave any scratches or scrapes into it. Nick, show us how to put the head gasket on.
Another thing you want to do, John, is make sure you got the right gasket. You want to lay the gasket over the cylinder head and check the bolt pattern and the bore size. You want to read on your gasket and see if it says anything. This one says block side. That's going to tell you which way to install the gasket. Now I'm going to install this head and start some bolts. Now a lot of guys will make the mistake here of running these bolts in with an air gun. If you do that, you run a chance of stripping the threads or even warping the head by tightening too much in one area. I like to use a speed wrench. The speed wrench is a lot safer and nobody's going to do any damage. Now our bolts are in, we're ready to torque. When you're using your torque wrench, especially on cylinder heads, you want to torque twice. You want to start at 5 pounds less than what the final torque should be. In this case, we want to be at 35 pounds. We're going to start at 30. Now we want to torque the cylinder in X patterns. Start in the middle and work in an X around each cylinder.
Now this keeps the head from warping or from the gasket from coming up from the surface?
That's correct. Since it's aluminum, the metal's real soft, and we want to pull it down evenly.
This is why we do the cross pattern, this is why we use the torque wrench.
Correct.
Remember, the cooling system to your outboard needs to be looked at periodically. If you boat in a saltwater environment, about every 2 to 3 years. In a freshwater environment, about every 5. We've got a couple of minutes left over. Let's use them by answering some of your questions.
And now here's some answers to the questions you left on our internet site.
Our first letter comes from Stephen in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, who writes, "Dear Shipshape, I have a 30-gallon aluminum freshwater tank on my boat. I've been told to add bleach while filling. I've also been told not to add bleach in my tank, but a few tablespoons of baking soda instead. Who's right and what's best to do?" Well, Steve, thanks for writing in, and it's a really good question. What not to do is add anything to your aluminum tank. If you add bleach to an aluminum tank, you're going to actually cause that tank to disintegrate. Rather than add the baking soda or the bleach, don't add anything. You get enough chemicals with city water. Your life expectancy of that tank is probably 5 to 10 years, unless you take the tank out of the boat, put in some catalyzed epoxy made by the DeVoe company, and then it will be sealed forever. What do we have next, Nick?
John, our next letter comes from James. James is from Valrico, Florida. James writes, "Dear Shipshape, I own a 1980 Hydrostream, which has been used to the max. My family loves the water ski and basically loves to be on the water. The problem has to do with the paint. It has oxidized somewhat, and in several places, the metal-flake finish can be felt by rubbing your hand across the paint. Do you know of any simple solutions that could restore the finish?" Well, James, this is a real common problem, especially with your older Bajas and Checkmates and even some of your bass boats that have the metal flake. The sun beats through and goes right through the gel coat and the metal flake comes out. The simplest solution would be to wet sand the boat, use a 400 or 600 grit paper, wet sand the top side, and then have it sprayed with a good, hard, clear coat. It's only going to buy you a few years, but at least it's going to stop you from having to paint the whole boat. Thanks for writing in.
Well, that's about all the time we have for this week. Until next week, guys, keep your boat ship-shape.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. Ship shape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ship shape means trouble.
Dear Shipshape, I have a 25-gallon aluminum stainless. Dear Shipshape, I have a.
Shape makes boat work easier.
Well, Steve.
Ship shape
Guy's name was
is
Dave.
the way to go.
I've been told.
The ship shape boat gear show.
Keep your boat ship-shape. I screwed it up. I messed up. Monkey face.
If you have any questions for us, write them down and send them to ShipShape TV. Attention Project Director, P.O. Box 31561, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida 33420. Or you can fax it to us at 561-626-4348.